Okay, guys, so today we will talk about programming for security professional, why computer programming is important to learn for security professionals, because it's a misconception. Some of the people who actually step into security field or cyber security field, they feel like there would be, I mean, I don't have to learn any computer programming because I'm a cyber security expert, but that's not the case. So today we will talk about why programming is important for a security professional, and we will discuss the basic concepts of programming. I'll give you basic overview. Of course, I cannot cover the a complete programming language in one chapter, so I'll just give you overview. But I highly recommend everybody that you have to learn at least one programming language in order to be a good cybersecurity analyst, or if you really want to practice cybersecurity, in fact. So starting with the basic concept of programming, then we will I'll give you overview of three programming languages which we extensively use in security applications in order to design security. You can say scripts, or you can say applications. We use these programming languages. But my focus will be on C programming, which is also known as mother of all other programming languages. So what does it mean? It means if you learn C programming, you can learn any other programming language by your own within 10 days. I can guarantee you. If you learn just C programming, or if you learn even C++, so you can learn any other programming languages, any other programming language by your own. Then we will talk about HTML as well, hypertext markup language. What's the role of HTML? Why do we need to learn that? So firstly, just starting with the definition of programming. What is basically a computer program? So computer program is a set of instructions which are required to perform specific tasks. So computer program, or a program is basically a software, or you can say a set of instructions required to perform specific tasks. So now we have to actually put all those instructions in a logical way. For example, let's say if you wanna, like, how we interpret programming, because in computer programming most important thing is the logic. The most important thing is logic. So logic building is the key concept in computer programming. For example, how to build a logic. Let's say, if you want to design a program, first of all you need to make a logic. Some people they call it just write a pseudocode. So what does it mean? Let's say, for example, you want to make a tea. Let's say you want to make tea, a milk tea. So in order to make milk tea, what ingredients do you need to put on? First of all, you need to have a pan. Then you need to actually find, I need milk, then I need to have sugar, then I need to have tea, I need to have water. So these are the ingredients that I need to actually put on in order to make a tea. Then of course you need a stove as well. So now this is basically the ingredients. So first of all, you are clear about it. If I want to make a tea, I need these ingredients, okay? After having the ingredients, then you need to make a logic. How these ingredients, in which order we need to put these ingredients in pan, so we can make a tea. So first, for example, let's say I'm just giving you my example, like how we actually make tea. So for example, let's say I will put water, first of all, boil the water, and then I will put tea inside. Okay, firstly water, then tea, then I will actually add some milk, then I will add some sugar as well, and then the tea is ready. So that's again, this is basically the flow. Do you see the flow? Like firstly, put water, tea, warm them on a boiling point, then put some milk, then a little sugar. So that's the way, how I make actually tea. So this is called a program. That's a program. Set of instructions to execute a specific task. That's a program, and this is a logic. So this is the way how computer programming can be done. So, but most important thing in computer programming is whenever you write a program, we always check the program. We use a compiler, and that particular compiler, it tests the program for, although it execute the program and test the program for bugs, like whether there are some errors or problems or not. Okay. So because if there would be one error, then it will not let your program to run. Okay. Or sometime it might happen, you just make a program, you wanted to do something else, but it turned into something else. Okay, so we have to be very careful while writing a program. Logic building, logic testing, pseudocode testing is very, very important because your overall output is based on your logic. In computer programming, there are a few things that you need to know about. Like these are some of the building blocks of computer programming. First is called branching. Branching is basically like you can actually, just like the tree branches, like one branch can take you from one program area to another program area. Okay, so branching is basically, if you want to write, please remember the definition. It takes you from one program area to another. Second is looping. We will talk about looping in detail, like for loop, do loop, do while loop, and all that. We'll talk about it. Looping is basically iteration. If you wanna get a task done over and over, that is basically looping. So looping is iterations, or you can say performing a task over and over. So that's basically, we can get it done through looping. We can actually put a condition, or we can actually say, hey, repeat this task, or get this task done for, let's say, 20 times. Let's say you want to print out, for example, if you make a access control system where user can actually enter up to 3 incorrect passwords. So we will add a for loop here. So after 3 incorrect attempts, what's going to happen? We can put a condition, like it could be do while loop. We can get it done through any other. Testing is basically, we test the logical condition, like if else loop, like if this condition is true, then do this. If it goes false, then do this. So it is the logical condition. We use switches and if else conditional statements like true or false. Then within a program, within a main program, we can have many functions, like human is a complete program. Then human has eyes got a different function. Your hands got a different function, etc. So function is basically mini program within a main program. So that is called function. Next is the algorithm. As I mentioned earlier, algorithm is basically, for example, if you want to do something, you need to come up with a logic. Okay, and that logic is technically called algorithm. Okay, like how to make a tea, in fact, like what are the steps involved in making a tea. So algorithm, what it does, it defines steps for performing tasks. So that is your algorithm. Bug is basically, it could be an error. It's an error in the code. So technical name of error is basically bug. Pseudocodes are basically a rough structure of your code, which is not basically formatted. You can say it's like English like language. So English language kind of thing, just to make understand whether the logic is right or not. So let's come to our programming language. First, starting with the C programming language. So C language, it was basically designed in Bell Laboratories in 1972, Bell Laboratory. So they actually designed the C programming language. C programming language is, I mean, as of today, of course, it is extremely powerful and concise. Like you can write down a program or a code in a very concise way, and the coding is going to be very powerful. You can design any application. Even you can design an operating system like Unix. I believe everybody heard about Unix. Firstly, of course, Unix was written in assembly language. So in assembly language, firstly it was written, but later on it was written in C programming. So still Unix is, of course, many Unix flavors are still available with C programming language. In the C programming language, like how a C program or the C code looks like, firstly, you need to actually load libraries. Libraries are built-in functions to enable different commands, different you can say different built-in commands. In fact, for example, printf, scanf, these are the different commands that you need to enable. So libraries, after libraries, then we actually declare a main function, like the main program. And then within the program, we can have many functions, iterations, and all that stuff. So libraries, in order to load libraries, this is the command hashtag include. Please remember that. So in order to load libraries, we use hash include. Then in main function, what we do, we actually, that's the main part of the main body of the program. So main body of the program, and if you want to say how from where the program start and where it ends, we use these braces. So please remember, braces show where the program begin and end. So these braces actually, these are very important. If you miss the braces, it will give you a syntax error. Other than that, for example, let's say you're writing a line and you want to bring the next line into the next line into the next line. For example, you want to print out printf. You wanna, this is basically a command. For example, you want to printf hello, this is. And if you want to bring down the next the next sentence in the next line, we actually use /n. So it means next line. So you can actually put down here /next. So what it will do is, and comma bracket, then it will bring down the next sentence, next line into the next sentence into the next line. In C programming, for example, if you want to increment something by 1, so we do it like plus plus. Plus plus is operator if you want to increment by 1. For example, let's say you want to increment n equal to n plus 1, something like that. So you will write n plus plus. It means it will add 1 increment instead of this. For variable, there are different type of variable that you can use in programming. Let's say if you want to use integers, int is for integers. If you want to declare use some integers in your program like 1, 2, 3 and all that. If you want to use the letters, if you want to use a letter, we use characters. For example, if you want to use strings, so str for string, something like that. This is basically how we can declare some different variables that you can use in your programming code. Okay, for comments are very important. First of all, let's understand what is a comment. Comment is a very important thing. Let's say if you write down a line, if you just wrote a line, a program, sometimes it's very hard to understand what was the meaning of this line. Sometimes if you are a programmer, you have been actually through this. If you wrote a line, after like 5 to 10 days, when you went back and saw your code, maybe you forgot, hey, why did I write this line? So it's always important to put the comments on some difficult lines or something like that. Like just imagine in Windows 10, Windows 10 has 50 million lines of code. It has 50 million line of code. So sometimes you don't know what this line is for. So comments are very important, because if you put the comment, people can actually understand what would be the meaning of this particular code will be or line will be. In C programming, if you want to put a comment, so to put the comment, we use for / and these 2 stars. So that's basically what we use. You can put whatever you want to put between that. It will not print out, and the compiler will take it as thus the comment. For example, if you want to, just want to find the true conditions for 2 operators, there is a command .end. So and 2 ands are used in order to put the in order to test or evaluate the two commands. In fact, for comparison, we use equal. For example, if you want to compare 2 things, let's say if you want to see if a equal to 1, then print this. If it is not, then else do this. So if you want to make a comparison, so we need to put equal. Okay, next is the loop. As we already talked about loops. Loops are basically iteration. If you want to get anything, if you want to do anything like if you want to repeat a task over and over, so we use loops. There are three different types of loops that we can use in C programming. One is called while loop. While, what it does, it execute the code, like repeat the task again and again while the condition becomes false. For example, let's say 3 incorrect attempt. If it happens 3 incorrect attempt, then of course it will stop taking the new password, something like that. Do while loop, very similar to while loop, but what it does, it firstly it will execute the task, then check the condition. Similar to that, but what it will do, it will do the task, get the task done, check the condition. If condition is still true, then it will do. After doing it, then again check the condition. Then for loop is also another one that we use. For loop is basically where if you wanna repeat the task over and over for a specific time. Let's say, for example, for 100 times or 100 iteration, you can put for let's say I equal to, let's say I is less than equal to 100, for example, just do I plus plus. So just increase unless I is less than or equal to 100, just increase the value, something like that. Then another programming language which we use in different applications, it is called Perl language. Perl is another language, like you can design your vulnerability assessment tools and stuff like that with Perl. In Perl, if you want to all the variables can be declared. If again, integer, int for integer, char for character, but integer will, if you want to start declaring integer, you need to put a $sign. So integer begin with $sign, or sorry, the variable will begin with the $sign. For function, if you similarly to exactly the same rules as of C programming, but in functions we actually start function with sub. So you need to put sub, and then you can actually put the name of the function. In order to put a comment, hashtag. So unlike the C programming where we have to use this particular command in order to put the comment, in Perl we use just hashtag. Next is the Ruby language. Rest of the concepts are exactly same. We do have if-else statement, for loop, do while loop. All those conditions are absolutely same, but there are just the syntax different. Syntax is different, in fact. Ruby is basically object-oriented programming. So it is the object-oriented programming, and please remember object-oriented, or it's called OOP. Object-oriented programming is basically a language which is based on classes. Class mean, for example, if there is any variable or any type of variable which is not defined in the library, you can define a class. So you can make your own class, and after defining a class, you can design anything. C also support object-oriented programming. Java is totally object-oriented programming. So in classes, what happens? Class is basically a function which is contained in a class, is called member class. So you can define a function, let's say you can define a class, you can define any kind of function by your own, and that function will become the member class. Okay, let me repeat. So for example, in C programming, if you want to take a print, if you want to print out anything, so you actually use a term, or you actually use a command printf. In Java, you use system.out. If you want to print out anything, all these functions or all these variables are already defined in a library. Include. When we declare the libraries, all these functions are defined over there. And whenever system wants to execute this particular command, they actually go to the library and find what exactly this function is for. With the help of object-oriented programming, what happens? If something is not defined in the library, you can define in the program, and then a compiler will understand that what that particular function is for. So this is called classes. So within the class, if you define a function, that is called member of a class. Okay. Um, Other than that, Ruby is basically like Metasploit. Maybe everybody heard about Metasploit. So Metasploit is totally, all the scripts are based on Ruby. If you want to write your own script on Metasploit, you need to learn Ruby. Last but not the least is HTML. It stands for Hyper Text Markup Language. Please remember one thing for HTML. HTML is not a programming language. It's not a programming language. In fact, it is basically a markup language. So what does it mean? It means there are not such conditions. Like you can use some condition like if else star stuff like that, but it's specifically designed for to create the websites to web pages. So you can create web pages by using that. Why it is important for security professional? Because without learning HTML, you cannot actually avoid the XML, injection attack, cross-site scripting, and all those stuff. So you cannot actually avoid these particular attacks if you don't know HTML. So it is very important to learn HTML as well. But it's and trust me, it's the simplest language to learn. But please remember, it's not a programming language. Like it's not basically like you cannot design any general purpose software by using HTML. It's just specifically designed to create web applications. So that's it about chapter number 7. If anybody has any questions, please do let me know. See you guys in next week.